This is Murali from SALT again. Today we are continuing on the critical reading, the methodology for like improving the critical reading questions or the score on the critical reading. So now it's part of this methodology. The I mean, today's topic is like organizational patterns of paragraphs. Like yesterday we talked about some kind of pattern, like some kind of a pattern that we can see in an essay or like in a comprehension passage that they will give you, right? So today, like there are some other patterns, like don't get the term like organizational patterns, like bother you. It's basically nothing but like some patterns how a paragraph is organized or could be organized. So how the author conveys what they convey using. I mean, we can like broadly put them into one of these patterns. And I mean, nothing is like written in stone. It's just like to give you a template. So basically, what this using these patterns like for to understand these patterns, like what it does is, see, first time when you go on a road, anything, right? It's complex and it's unknown. It's tough. It's rough. But second time on, it gets a little easier. You've been there before. So like in third time on, like it's easier. So it's same thing, like when you're riding a bike, first time you fall down, but like as you do it like over and over again, you know it. So the better analogy is the path, right? Like if you're going on a path for the first time, it's unknown. Nothing is there. But let's say you understood, okay, this will look like this, and like beforehand. You understand it. So when you're going through that, so you know what to look for. Your mind is actually is little bit at ease. So it's not like perplexed and like just shut it off. So you know what you're looking for. So like we talked about before, the paragraph is a basic unit of thought, not a sentence. Definitely not a sentence, but a paragraph will convey one basic unit of thought the author is trying to put across. So again, like in a pattern signals how the message is presented, and their advantage, like how you relate small parts to the whole. Like take a small paragraph and how it is related to the entire passage that the author is trying to convey, is trying to write. Okay, so let's jump into different organizational patterns. There are like 6 or 7 here. The best way is like there's nothing like you need to know all this and nothing like that. I mean, just read them a couple of times and like pause it after each pattern and make sense out of that. Just like try to recall, try to make sense out of that in your own head, and yeah, I mean, just move on. That's it. I mean, like push it into your long-term memory, and that's it. You don't need to remember, recall, nothing like that. Just understand this is what it may look like, and that's what it is. So, but after each pattern, right? After each one, when we talk about it, we have pause for a bit and try to put like try to see what you made sense out of that. And when we actually go to your reading section, right, where we have a whole new section of how to read, speed reading and all. So we'll tell you why, how that kind of like recall, pausing and recall immediately will help you. And like that's a whole new chapter. It's a whole new game. So we'll explain that. But for now, after each one, just pause for a bit and try to understand. Oh, okay, that's what it is, kind of thing, and then just move on. Don't let any of this bother you. Okay. So the first one is cause and effect. The author is trying to say that like some event has happened, and because of which this is, I mean, because of this circumstance. So this one has triggered this event. So this is what it has caused this one, something like that. So I mean, there is some situation, and then like the author is trying to say, I mean, this one is because of so and so cause, and it explains the reason why something has happened. So it's nothing but like explaining the effects of something. The signal words of these kind, like of cause and effect situation is as a result of, for this reason, consequently, hence, because, things like that. So that's what cause and effect is. The next one is chronological time or an order, like a sequential order of things. Uh, so this is like, I mean, you have certain details that the author is trying to present, but they're chronological in order. So a specifically planned order that the author is trying to develop. And the difference between this and a list, I mean, like there is another a list of supporting details, right? There is no, in that one, there is no in order. I mean, if you change the order, it doesn't matter in that case. But here, it's like in a concept, it's like a chronological, like an order or a sequential. Uh, and this is explaining how things have happened in a certain in an order, in a certain sequence. The signal words here are like first, second, third, before, after, when, later, last, next, things like that. But I mean, I mean, you can easily identify something like that when the author is trying to convey a chronological, like an order, a sequence of things. This is what happened first, and then like things like that. Pretty not difficult at all. The other pattern that you can see is a compare and contrast. So here the author is trying to like show the similarities and differences. So the purpose of this kind of paragraph is where the author is showing, okay, these are the differences between it, what it is, and how it is similar to something else. So, like for example, the author is trying to have a main idea, right? So they can actually compare it with something else to apply it somewhere else, or like to show another idea and say that like this is similar to this, but it's different to this, things like that. And where similarities and differences of two or more things are explored. So your concept, the idea is compared with something else. So that's one way of writing a paragraph. The next one is a definition. For example, there is a complex term or an idea that the author wants to explain more about it. So there may be a defined like a specific definition for that. So that may be given, and then further it's expanded with examples and restatements. So like if there's a complex term that is introduced in the previous paragraph, so in this paragraph they will give a more an in-depth definition, and then in-depth like they will try to elaborate on the details, like giving an examples or giving restatements or things like that. The signal words here would be like is defined as, means, is described as, is called, refers to a term, concept, things like that. And the other one is a problem and a solution. So, I mean, the author like comes up with a problem and then is also offering a solution. The difference between this and cause and effect is that in cause and effect there is only like okay, because of this event this thing has happened, kind of a thing. But here the author is also proposing a solution. So because of this it might have happened, but this will solve this problem. So there definitely is a negative connotation to the paragraph, and then trying to come up with a solution. So that's the difference between this and cause and effect. I mean, typically between cause and effect and problem and solution, you have like two situations, two things that they're trying to, which are triggering it. But in this one, you have a solution for that. And a problem or a dilemma is already is portrayed. Then a solution or an attempted solution is also given in this kind of paragraph. So the words, like signal words, would be proposes, suggest, solution, answer, remedy, prevention, etc. And this is actually one of the basic ones. Like it's like a simple listing of supporting facts. So an idea is presented in one of the top paragraphs, right? Then the author wants to like elaborate on that idea, on the main idea. So she will give you more a series of supporting details to support that idea. So and signal words would be in addition to another, for example, also, several, things like that. And this is also pretty, you can easily identify that, like, when you look at something where usually like second or third paragraph, like where some details are given to identify and to give strength to the main idea. Uh, so you can easily identify something like that. The last one here we are discussing is called like spatial organization or description. It's nothing but like the author is trying to describe something like a definition, but more like describes like how something looks like. In fiction, like if there's a fiction kind of writing, right? Fiction kind of essay, it will be like it's describing like how a place looks like, or how a person is, and things like that. It's more like description of how of some incident or something like that, like a setting or an appearance of a character, things like that. And the signal words here would be like any prepositions, right? Like above that, behind, next to, trying to explain how, I mean, how a situation, how an outside environment is, right? Like next to this is what it is. Behind that's what it is. Across from there is this. Above that, there's this one. Things like that. So this is nothing but you're describing a particular setting or an appearance of a character, how something looks like, and that's what it is. So that's it, folks. These are different kinds of patterns that a paragraph could be identified, paragraph could be portrayed or written about. So the first one is cause and effect. Nothing like first or second, like cause and effect, chronological, like in a time, an ordered sequence, compare and contrast, definition, problem and solution, simple listing, like of supporting details, and description or spatial organization. So again, like just review them briefly, and in your head try to understand what it is, and next time, like when you're reading, like try to see how these, I mean, how that particular paragraph fits into these models, these patterns. So I mean that's your exercise, right? That's the whole point. There's nothing in here. I mean, what happens is next time when you read something, so if you try to put try to see, even if it makes sense or not, you just try to see, okay, this falls into this kind of pattern. So that way you're actually like strengthening it, and you understand, you're putting like into practice. So when you're actually taking the test for the, even though you don't know the paragraph, and of course you don't know, you would not have seen the paragraph before, but it would be easier. I mean, like your mind is going back and trying to, it has a map by which it can make sense of that. So it won't like go berserk and just give them. That's it, guys, and we will talk more about this like in the later videos. Hope this helps. Thanks. Talk to you later. Bye.